Hi, I'm going to scrunch down here so I don't have to move the camera again. This is the pug mill, and I'm going to walk through extruding some 4x4 tiles just so you can see the way that I've set it up so it can work. Right now it's all wrapped up in plastic. I'm going to rip the plastic off of it and set it aside, and I'm going to put the die on there, and I'm going to go through the loading and extruding of 4x4 tile. It's going to come out as a 4-inch wide ribbon, and you'll get to see the whole process. Here we go. So we'll take off of the plastic covering. The only reason that's on there is to keep me from having to clean it out every single time. Cleaning out the pug mill is rather time consuming, so we try to prevent that as much as we can. Okay, this is the barrel, this is the vacuum chamber, and this is the hopper. So the clay goes in the hopper, there's an auger that moves the clay through, it'll come out through a die. The die the nozzle that this comes with is too narrow to produce a 4x4 tile because you do get shrinkage. It's actually exactly 4 inches. Because the clay shrinks down, you'd have to put a small die on there, so you'd wind up without being able to produce 4-inch wide tile. So I have one that I've made up here. It's actually made out of oak, so it's pretty beefy. I have some other ones that I've made out of aluminum stock, but this one's ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. Handy arrows telling you which way to put this on. There's actually a couple of ramps that push the clay towards a narrower opening, and you can see there are these two bulbs. There are these two bulbs inside. This actually is to reduce pressure. The clay wants to get pushed the strongest right in the middle, and what will happen is when you cut the tile, you'll actually wind up with the clay bowing like this on the edges, just because it's exerting more pressure in the center. So the bulbs that are in the middle of this actually diffuse that pressure out towards the sides and prevent it from bending. That goes on. Here is the die. Very simple, made out of birch plywood. You can cut them with any kind of a scroll saw. I think I went and picked up a scroll saw at one point for, I think it was $99 at Home Depot. But they're really not hard to make, and they last forever, so you don't really need to have them machined out of sheet metal. Simply use some clamps to hold it on. There. So now I've got some pieces of sheetrock that have been cut into long strips. These are what I extrude out onto. It just makes for a really handy surface. And let's get going. First I turn on the vacuum chamber. That sound you can hear is actually the compressor running. And now I start feeding the hopper and turn on the pug mill. It'll take it a minute to fill up the expansion chamber with clay, the wooden chamber. You gotta grab a little bit more clay. Here we go. I'm going to stop the machine and feed in a little bit more clay. This is one of those jobs that's a lot easier to do with 2 people rather than 1, simply because one person can concentrate on feeding the pug mill while the other person handles the clay that's coming out the other side and finish the ribbon. But you can do it by yourself. I do all the time. Now you can see I've got this ribbon picked up. I didn't want to let it just push on the board. I'm trying to keep the clay from deforming as much as I possibly can. By holding it up and just kind of letting it ride gently over the top of the board, I can control how long it comes out and that it doesn't get compressed at all. That way it'll prevent the clay from warping too much. So I'll cut off the air supply. Take a fettling knife, and there is a 4-inch wide strip of clay with no air bubbles in it, and next we're going to cut it.